rated M for mature.
So I went on the record a couple months ago when Stadia first was announced, saying that while I was very skeptical on the service and I didn't really understand who it was for, I could understand the appeal. I could understand the intention. And so I was cautiously optimistic, because no matter how many failed, botched attempts at streaming services like this that have come across our OnLives and PlayStation Nows and all that shit, this is Google. Nobody does the web better than Google. They have the tech to make it work. So I was like, okay, if anyone's gonna get this shit right, if anyone's gonna make this shit functional, it's Google. And in those months since the announcements, there have been some things here and there that have been, that's a weird thing to say, Google. Like the anti-lag statement of like, oh, we're going to use our algorithm and AI to predict what you're actually going to do in the game before you do it to cancel out any input lag. And that seems kind of weird. I guess we'll find out tomorrow, as of this recording, since I'm recording on Sunday, it comes out tomorrow, the 18th, how well that works. However, what we already know without it even launching is that like half the shit that was promised with Stadia is not even going to be available at launch. It seems like Google's rushing this out the door for the holiday season instead of actually giving it the time to finish cooking and actually be a complete product, which seems like a terrible fucking idea to me. I understand, of course, Black Friday's coming up, the holiday season's coming up, and this is like the last big push for getting cheaper current gen consoles. Like, you know, everyone's going to be running deals on Xboxes and PlayStation 4s. I'm sure Nintendo will hold fast and run no sales because that's just what they do. But obviously Google wants a piece of that pie, so they're trying to slide Stadia out and hopefully get some installs and get that shit an install base for the holiday season as opposed to waiting. But I think that was a bad idea, because with all the shit that's left out, this is just going to leave a terrible taste in people's mouths. And this is assuming that the shit actually fucking works. Let's not even go down the path, because I already talked about it in the last video. I'll link it up in the cards if you want to watch my initial thoughts on Stadia and my reservations. But just to quickly bullet point a couple things. Internet in America sucks. So the chances of this service running smoothly for the vast majority of people is not great. And this has just been tried before, and lag has always been a huge problem. So let's assume that both of these can somehow be addressed by Google algorithm magic. Even putting that aside, the laundry list of services and features that were promised with Stadia that are not available at launch is staggering. I can't even have them all on my screen at once. I gotta scroll through this article that breaks them all down. On day one, PC Chrome gameplay won't support 4K HDR or 5.1 surround. Those will be added sometime in 2020. That's the whole point of the paid tier for Stadia. That's what you bought the Founders Kit for, was for 4K HDR. Are you kidding me? What am I paying for? For the next couple months. That's assuming we even get it early 2020. It just says 2020. That could be December 30th, 2020. Incredible. Stream Connect, which allows one player's Stadia viewport to be integrated with another player's stream, will not be available in any launch games. The first game to use it is expected to launch by the end of the year. Okay, so this is another one of their big things, like, oh, multiplayer is going to be so crazy because you can, like, see your teammates and stuff. Not available. Which isn't surprising because the launch lineup for Stadia is abysmal. State Share, which lets users share save files, and Crowdplay, which allows for quick jump-in multiplayer through YouTube streams, won't be integrated into games until next year. Again, this isn't surprising because there's nothing built exclusively for Stadia in this launch window. It's all ports from PC. And of course, PC isn't going to have any of this shit built in because none of this works on regular PC. At launch, Google Assistant integration will be limited to the ability to turn on the TV and start a game. Soon after launch, the Assistant button on the Stadia controller will work on Chromecast Stadia home screen. Assistant support on PCs and phones, and during gameplay will come, quote, sometime after that. So their whole big hyping about how we're going to build Assistant into this and it's going to allow for really smooth voice control, not even done yet. Not even fucking done yet, and they have no idea when it's going to be done. Family sharing is not supported on day one, so you'll have to buy games for your child's account. Incredible. The feature is planned for addition early next year. If all these core features for Stadia are coming early next year, you should just be launching early next year. Again, at the top, I mentioned they're trying to squeeze us into the holiday rush, but that's the wrong way to approach this in terms of marketing. You should be launching Stadia as a next-gen console, right? And we're launching early 2020, whereas the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Project Scarlet are launching holiday 2020. We got next-gen started in January or February. Take the extra couple months, iron all this shit out. People still have money to burn post-Christmas. And Stadia, technically, you don't even have to pay for a box because it runs off of what you already have. So just be like, next gen starts now, and secure some actual good launch titles and be like, instead of like worrying about PlayStation 5 and Xbox, whatever, Google's gonna give you next gen basically a year early. And just finish baking all this fucking shit. Like, I'm not even halfway through the list. There is no Stadia UI for achievements or achievement notifications. But if you happen to perform an in-game feat that would earn an achievement, it will show up when the feature is rolled out shortly after launch. Why not just delay it and have all this shit? Chromecast Ultra units included in the Founders Premier bundles are the only ones that will work with Stadia. Other Chromecast Ultra units will be able to play Stadia games after an over-the-air update soon after launch. Why not just wait? The Buddy Pass that lets early adopters offer a free 3-month Stadia trial to a friend will be sent about 2 weeks after you receive your bundle, barring some unknown unknowns popping up. That's a quote. That's a fucking quote. What does that mean? Okay, so again, like the Buddy Pass was a way to get people in the door, people on the fence about Stadia. Your buddy's just like, oh no, it really is good, check it out. Well, you can't even do that at the beginning. My camera just turned off. What the fuck? Okay. Currently, a phone is needed for initial setup and buying games. There's no desktop store at all. Buying games through a Chromecast Ultra or the web is not supported. And the AMA, where all this information came from, gave no indication of when it would be added. There's no desktop storefront. What? Like, it was bad enough that Epic launched with no cart. Stadia's launching with essentially no store. Oh my god. This is insane. Mobile support will be limited to Google Pixel phones and Chrome OS tablets at launch, completely defeating the purpose of Stadia for 99% of people. Oh, you have a Samsung or an iPhone? You can't use like half of the point of Stadia, of being able to play your game anywhere. Sorry, that asterisk was like if you're bought into our ecosystem. A timeline for general iOS and Android support is still to be determined, of course, but Pixel will likely be the only mobile support this year, according to the AMA. Google says it wants Stadia to run on every screen eventually. Your entire marketing around this product was a seamless experience on every screen. How do you not have the defining feature available at launch? This is not ready. It's not fucking finished. You're buying beta software more blatantly than fucking ever. And the problem is that Google is fucking ADHD. So when this inevitably crashes and burns, because there's no reason to get this at launch, 6 months from now, a year from now, they'll probably just kill the entire project entirely, and then everyone who bought into it with their $200 founders packs is just fucked. The Stadia controller's wireless functionality will only work with Chromecast Ultra at launch. To use that controller with a phone or tablet, you will need to plug it in with a USB-C cable. I guess you're fucked if you have an iPhone, but I guess that doesn't even matter right now because you can't even use your iPhone with Stadia. So if you're only using Pixel phones, I guess they all have USB-C, so I guess you're okay. Generic USB controllers will also work with Stadia on PC or phones, but not on Chromecast. So if you want a seamless experience at launch and you happen to be entirely in the Google ecosystem, you still need a Stadia controller and a regular controller because one doesn't work with everything. As previously discussed, only 12 titles will be available to purchase on Stadia at launch, with 14 more by the end of the year. A handful of previously announced launch window titles on Stadia are planned for early 2020. And none of them are all that interesting. Everything that's launching on Stadia right now is old shit. Unbelievable. So, this is a disaster. This is a fucking disaster. Again, this is putting aside all the crazy shit like, oh, it's might use up to 20 gigs per hour of data to play games, which nobody has the bandwidth in America for that unless you're running Google Fiber. Does everyone at Google just assume we all have fiber, even though like all the ISPs like fought hard to crush fiber rollout? Like that happened only a little while ago. Oh man. This is just, I was not expecting anything, but I was kind of hoping that Google could like do something interesting here just to kind of disrupt the space and force more competition from the traditional kind of console business model. But this just seems like, you know, a wet fart. Like, it's just gonna amount to nothing. A year from now, no one's even gonna remember this even fucking happened. Oh, okay. Well, shit, guys. Remember to be the games you want to see. I don't think anybody wants to see Stadia at this point, so I'm not expecting anyone to be Stadia.